It's time for this month's market update. We're committing to helping you get caught up on the state of our markets as we head into the second half of the year. A few key highlights worth focusing on. So, the Fed officially began signaling its intent to drop rates sooner rather than later. Their language has gone from all cards are still on the table in the spring to we're holding the line early summer to we don't need to wait to hit 2% before dropping rates. So, a rate drop is just around the corner, and most major banks are projecting the first 25 basis point reduction in September. The mortgage market has already reacted with the 30-year rates dropping back into the high sixes. Now, as we discuss this, it's important to remember that there is little to no chance of these rates ever heading back to ridiculously low levels like 3 or even 2%. More reasonable estimates are rates in the mid to low sixes by next year. Modest reductions, but impactful on affordability and consumer sentiment. There's no question that rates at 6.5% will drive buyer activity back into the market. Inventory has continued to climb, but at rates more in line with typical trends for this time of year. Active listings are currently up 39% over last year this time and remain 32% lower than 2019 levels right before COVID. This increase is pretty visible in certain price ranges, and listings are beginning to sit longer and take price reductions. Last week, 38% of single-family listings reduced their price. Prices are officially softening, and that's good news, for the most part. But keep in mind that, at least in Iowa, it's still a seller's market. Statewide, we are still under 3 months supply overall, and in many price points, we are still seeing multiple offers on hot new listings to the market. There's no doubt that things have cooled, but that cooling is very connected to interest rates, with 7% seeming to be an inflection point for sentiment. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when the Fed begins its easing policy. I can imagine that rates going down will increase buyer activity, potentially driving prices back up. It really is an interesting and tricky market environment right now. We all want prices to stabilize, but we also want more sales. Interest rates are the key, but the minute they drop, we are likely to end up back in an inflationary environment. The best case scenario is that prices soften enough that modest rate reductions drive buyers back into the market, but not at levels that recreate the frenzy of a few years ago. So, I guess we'll see. There are 2 additional unique factors to watch this next quarter that will likely impact the market. The first is the upcoming election this November. Elections have historically had some impact on market trends, typically pulling down sales in the month leading into the election for no real reason other than people get skittish. Consumers don't like uncertainty, and let's face it, our recent presidential elections have been pretty chaotic. The good news is that elections don't typically actually decrease sales, but rather just delay them, and markets tend to pop right after elections are settled. So, if you want more sales, hope for a smooth transition of power in January regardless of who wins the election. The second force worth watching right now is the impact of the NAR settlement and implementation of new policies. I have no firm data on this, but I suspect that there's going to be a measurable ripple effect from all the change and confusion to both agents and buyers in the market. Most buyers are totally unaccustomed to being asked to sign agency agreements up front, and some are being temporarily discouraged by this glitch in their plans. Obviously, this is a short-term blip, but I do think it pushes some buyers back a few weeks as they shop around and even eventually realize that whoever they work with, they will need to sign some form of agency agreement. The bottom line is that change and instability have an unsettling impact on home sales, and there is a lot of change and chaos in our marketplace right now. My focus is to act as a steadying and anchoring force in your worlds by providing the facts, acting as your expert advisor, and guiding you towards an action plan that gets you where you want to be. It's going to be an interesting third and fourth quarter. Don't forget to check out our website at meganmitchum.com for inventory, and if you're in the market for a certain property, give us a shout. My team would love to hear from you.